I am live. This is not a recording. This is not a recording. This is not a test. If this were a test, I don't know, something would be weird. It usually is when there's tests. There's like that noise or no, okay. Um okay. Sorry, distraction. Distraction. So, yes, I messed with the premiere for the very first time ever. So that was an interesting thing cuz like I was like, we're gonna go play D&D, and we're gonna play for like, 4 or 5 hours or whatever. It's gonna be late when I get back, and I always want to do something when I'm sitting in my bed and just like before I go to sleep. And I was like, maybe I should set up the premiere for in case I don't wake up on time. And it's a good thing I did because I did not wake up on time. Yeah, I didn't get up till like 11, and then I got coffee, and I'm still drinking it, frankly. But and I have been yeah, so yeah, yeah. But yeah, I finally got something that would help me convert my video files from, as you can see, from FLV to MP4. So that was nice. And then I could open it up in Movie Studio and edit it and cut it together and add annotations because I'm much funnier when I'm in a textual format. When I have time to sit and think about the situation and what would be, you know, yeah. I'll never be as funny on the fly as I am. Except at D&D. I'm pretty funny at D&D, but that's a different beast, I suppose. I'm funny when I'm not being me. That says something unfortunate, I think. Anyway, but yes, so this is just the live portion, and then when I'm done with this, I will probably hook up my PlayStation and play more Dungeons and Dragons. I wish Dungeons and Dragons was a video game on PlayStation 4. It is not. Dungeons and Dragons as a concept is far too open world for any kind of programming to accommodate. Um, but I will probably play more Dragon Age Inquisition um, so that I can cut it together to make videos to put on the internet because actually it's far more entertaining for me to be in the chat room talking to the people as they're watching me play a video game. It's that way I can talk to everybody and still, be fully invested in the game. Um, Plus, I like my annotations. The annotations I think are one of the best parts. And I understand that some people aren't going to actually see the annotations. Some people are listening in their car, or some people are like doing things with their hands while they're watching, so they're not actually paying attention to the screen. And I don't have a little ding incoming, you know, annotation. I should do that. I should make a little like I should add a little like bring, let you know that an annotation is coming. But I did not for the first one or the second one. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk for a little bit. I'm going to tell you some stuff about D&D that happened that was amazing. And it's not just my character even though I do love Arrakis. And then I am going to I have already scheduled part 2 of the whole Quill adventure. Well, that's new. Something just happened. One second. Song in queue. No, there's no song in queue. You're a liar. Okay. Um, what is that? What is this? What is that? Oh, okay. Sorry, stuff is distracting me on my screen. Anyway, um, yes, I have scheduled part 2 of the recorded, edited, annotated adventures of Quill. That's the name of the video, and that is going to be on there. And then I think later I'm gonna schedule a rerun of parts 1 and 2 for people who don't watch in the same time zone as I am or nearby in nearby time zones because my mom is 2 hours, like behind. Yes, it's it's 150 for me, it's 1150 for her. And yeah, so then I'm just gonna spend the rest of my Sunday playing Dragon Age. Um, there was a whole thing where I basically came on the internet to beg for money, but it's not working out, which is fine. You're not required to donate to my channel. It's just I was like, what the fuck? Um, somebody a supervisor at my work gave me the wrong information, and I'm not going to be able to recover that money, so I was like, internet, help me. um Jesus, fucking flies. um it says -4 hours. I wanted it to last the whole weekend, but Streamlabs doesn't give you like an hourly thing. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. So yes, so D&D. Now, I'm trying to remember where I last left off with talking. It got really dark all of a sudden. Curse you, light changes. Eh, eh. Well, that didn't help. Hold on 1 second. I guess I could have turned that light on over there, but I don't know. Natural light seems to work the best. Anyway, so D&D. I'm trying to remember where I last left off with the story of Arrakis. I know that I told you she died. She got eaten by a plant. Most upsetting. And I brought in Cicada, who was amazing. Although I don't feel like I played him to his full potential. He was a bard cleric, which was fun, because he could do vicious mockery, but he could also cast spiritual weapon. And I was also like, I had almost gotten Arrakis to level 6, and she was gonna take her first level of bard. It was gonna be pretty cool, and then she died. So I made Cicada a bard cleric because I really wanted to play a bard, but it didn't really work for. I mean, I think the only thing I think the only bardy thing that well, no, Cicada did tell stories to the Yuan-Ti slaves that inspired them to rally up and form a resistance, which didn't go well because Dragonbait jumped the gun. But yeah, so they made it into the tomb, and then Cicada died under circumstances that I will not clarify because spoilers. And then it was revealed to us that one of the many tactics that the module gives you for bringing in new characters is that you can bring in an old character. I think once, because the people who are in charge of maintaining the tomb or whatever will clone people who are interested in the tomb so that they can interrogate them, um, about their strengths and weaknesses and the strengths and weaknesses of the people that they're traveling with and all that and everything. I mean, it wouldn't have been particularly useful. Oh no, because like when you die, instead of your soul being, you know, uh, trapped by the soulmonger or whatever, your soul immediately goes to your clone, so you're not really dead, or you are, but not for very long, or not long enough to matter, not long enough to be caught in the black hole that is the, uh, you know, magic. Anyway, so she came back, and that was super dramatic, and the moment was ruined by one of the players who was possessed by, or one of the characters who was possessed by a dick god. And then, oh, I'm not sure I told this to anyone, but Arrakis decided that Arrakis found out that she had been dead, and she was like, "What? No, that's not right." Except she doesn't really remember how she got here, and like hand wavy, plot reasons. She doesn't remember anything from the lower levels. Um, and so she's just like, I was dead. I died. This changes things because like they'd been traveling with Artis, and then She'd been working up the nerve to be like, hey, and then he left, and she was like, "Oh, well, I mean, we're gonna meet up eventually. We're heading to the same place, so I can just plan ahead and and woo Artis because that is the plan." And then she died, and then so she found out she was dead, and like she's like, "Oh man, okay, wow, no plan, head first," because she's a barbarian. I love her so much. Anyway, she decided enough waiting. No waiting. Waiting is for suckers. And so she seduced Artis successfully many times. Anyway, there were some jokes in there. Anyway, so they're all traveling and they find uh, a secret door. They're like very far into the well, they're like pretty far into the tomb before they find their first secret door. Um, which does not necessarily mean that there haven't been secret doors before that, just that this was the first one that we found. Anyway, so we found basically this hallway, and I don't want to reveal too much because again spoilers, but we fought some things, and there was a moment where they found this well and it was displaying something, and Arrakis was so into what it was displaying that she was completely caught off guard by the tomb guardian that popped out of the thing, and she was like, ah! Made a noise that was inconsistent with her previous behavior, a little bit more frightful. And then afterwards she was like, "You, that didn't happen." And an artist was just like, "I think that's the first time I've ever heard you sound like a girl." And she's like, "Don't be stupid. No, it isn't." And it was funny because like she's referring to the fact that they've had sex. Anyway, so they find another room that is super important, and then they find this office, and they talk to this guy, and then they find out he's not great. He's not a great guy, and he escapes. And they look around some more, and then they find a couple traps, and Arrakis, sets off one of the traps that ends up dealing like a majority of her hit points worth of damage. So she only has 3 hit points, and she's like, "I really would appreciate it if we could take a nap." So they go back to this guy's office, only he's not really that pleased with the fact that they, you know, exist, I guess. And so he brings a small army. So they had to fight this guy on no sleep and only a short rest, which is all right because that gave me back like I had 3 hit points and I went from 3 to um oh yes, I missed something extremely important. Uh, Dash, I believe I did say this in one of the previous videos, but I can't remember which one, and I'm hoping like hell it's not one of the Legend of Zelda ones because that those have been irreparably lost. Uh, I forgot for a while to transfer these over to YouTube. Um, but Dash died, which was Dash died, which was emotionally devastating to Arrakis because Dash was like her best friend. And of this group, I mean, she's known a lot of people. Um, and so Arrakis is actually carrying around A, Dash's remains, and B, Dash's inventory. Arrakis is like 8 feet tall, and her strength is currently 23. So like this ain't no problem. And so my roommate brought in her new character, which is a golden dragonborn paladin of Bahamut. But he's not from this plane. He's from an alternate plane, uh, where things are a little bit different. Uh, and he talks like Keanu Reeves from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He is a stoner dragon, stoner paladin of Brohamut. love this character so much. And his intelligence is 8, so him and Arrakis are on a level playing field intellectually. And but he's super impressed with Arrakis, who is 8 feet tall, because he's only like, you're what, like 6'9", 6'8"?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so yeah, hella impressed with the Angel of Strength, which is what he refers to her as later. Anyway, so um yeah, so we with there's a guy, and he comes back with an army, and he fucks us up pretty badly, and then we lost 2 party members. We lost Rurik, who was the one who was inhabited by a dick god. Um, and then we also lost. The thing is that nobody was really upset when Rurik died because of the god that was possessing him. Everybody hated that god. They were all, and so even Toby was just like, God, I'm just this. The possession is making this character unpleasant to play. You know. So, uh, so Rurik died, and my Bartholomew's player's reaction to that was yay, because that meant that Toby could bring in um, Brothazar, Bartholomew's brother, literal brother, but also fraternity brother. Because yeah, they're part of a fraternity of bros. Uh, anyway, so then uh, Dragonbait died. Dragonbait, the NPC, was killed, and everyone was like, "Oh man!" Like nobody was happy about it. Nobody was blasé about it. Everyone was just kind of like, "That fucking sucks." Which Toby was just like, "Oh, I see how it is. I I die, and it's woohoo." But Dragonbait dies, and I mean that part was a little bit funny. But like Artis was fucking devastated, and Arrakis was unconscious when it happened. So when she sits up, somebody heals her a little bit, and she's like, "Did we win?" I mean, yeah, kinda. If you consider surviving a win, but it was pretty bad. So we, I mean, Artis wanted to straight up take his body out of the tomb and bury him immediately, because he didn't want Dragonbait resting in this foul place. And Arrakis was inclined to do that, but there's a whole thing that we found out that we were like, we need to move really, really fast now, so that bad things don't continue to happen, and worse things don't happen, to Dragonbait. And so we hid him in one of the rooms behind some stuff, and we hid Rurik as well. And then Demiurge, who is cursed, fucking cursed. Demiurge is his madness from when he was turned into a Yuan-Ti pureblood. His madness is that he's fucking greedy, right? So when we discovered, because he originally he rolled a really shitty medicine check to check whether or not Rurik was still alive, and he failed. He got I think he got a critical fail, and so he believed that Rurik was still alive. Eventually, we found out that Rurik was in fact dead. And so Demiurge, who is through no fault of his own greedy, grabbed the mace that Rurik was carrying around, and the god that was attached to that mace tried to possess him. Now, Demiurge was already possessed by a different god, so the two of them had a god battle, and the dick god won. So the dick god is still around, and now Demiurge is greedy and doesn't care about people. Like, I'm just. I recently found out that the module only goes to level 11, which means that Arrakis won't be able to do anything about it because if she did get to a high enough level of Bard, she could cast Greater Restoration. But we only have to wait one level anyway because Brothazar, Bartholomew's brother, is a cleric. So and he's full cleric, so level 8. So level 9 he'll get Greater Restoration, and we can A, rid Demiurge of the god, and B, with a second casting, rid him of his greed. Which is great, because, like, Rick was like, man, I wanted to play him as, like, a generous dude. But, anyway, so, we rested, and then, so we're back at full hit points, and we're like, all right, we gotta get a move on, because we gotta find this soulmonger and fucking break it. Excuse me. And then we didn't get very far. I can't remember exactly where we headed next, but we were at the top of a stairwell, and at the bottom of the stairwell is a chest, and we all see the chest at the bottom of the stairwell, but we can't see very much further beyond that because it's one of those stairwells. It's not an open stairwell. It's got a ceiling, and the ceiling follows the slant of the stairs, so you can see just a little bit past the chest, but not very much further. And but we all look at this chest at the bottom of the stairs, and we're all like, trap. Obviously, everyone, and our collective, the highest intelligence among us is the NPC, who our DM is pretty good about not having NPCs like main. So yeah, Artis's intelligence is 17, and the highest among players is 10. So yeah, yeah. Anyway, so we're all like trap, and so I rolled a perception check, and I got pretty high, and my perception's +5 because I'm proficient and I have expertise, bard, and so I spotted the door, the trap door on the ceiling of the stairwell, but I wasn't able to, like, pry it open or see if there was like a trigger on one of the steps or anything like that. So I was like, all right, so I'm gonna go down, and then give me 5 feet of space, and then somebody else come down, and then 5 feet of space, and somebody else, and then we'll move down the stairs slowly in case one of it triggers. Not all of us are caught in it. And everyone's like, ah, sounds like a plan. So it's me, and then 5 feet of space, and then Brothazar, or Bartholomew rather, and then 5 feet of space, and then Aaron, our Furbolg monk, and then Artis behind him, and then Demiurge is like, I'll just chill up here. It's cool. You guys can take all the risk, it's fine. So we get down to the bottom, and there's like a room beyond the chest, but we're not really interested in that right at the moment. And I have a key. I found at some point this crocodile key, jade key, shape of a crocodile. And I was like, does it match the lock? And the DM was like, it does not. And so I'm like, okay. So we poke it to make sure it's not a mimic, and then Bartholomew, and he's been doing this the entire time. Is like we come to a door, and Bartholomew's like, all right, I got this. And he just flexes at all of the obstacles. And Tyler, our DM, originally would roll a d20 whenever he did that. He forgot to last session, which is unfortunate, because that would have been amazing if something had happened on a natural 20. He has said that if he rolls a natural 20 when Bartholomew flexes at something, then something will happen. Anyway, but so he flexes at the chest and nothing happens. So he's just like, all right, fine. And then he just jams his fingers under the lid and flips it open, and it's a pretty flimsy chest. So it breaks. It just fucking breaks open. Which trigger, and there's nothing in the chest. There's absolutely nothing in the chest. Because it's a trap, and the trap that it triggers is at the top of the stairs. So the panel, opens, and a 12-ton ball o' death, Indiana Jones style, starts, bouncing towards us down the stairs. And so here's what happens. And I asked if I could do this, and he made me roll for it, like twice. He made me roll twice. So basically, what happens is there's a noise. In slow motion, Arrakis turns her head and sees the 12-ton ball o' death, and then it just like focus shifts to Artis, who's between her and the ball o' death. And so she's like, nope. And so she basically puts her hand on Bartholomew's back and shoves him out of the way, which gives her a little bit of a boost, and then vaults up the stairs, grabs Artis by the front of his armor, and then throws him down the stairs behind her, and Bartholomew catches him, and then throws out her arms and catches the boulder. Now, he made me roll a dexterity check to see if I could get up the stairs in time to get Artis out of the way. And I'm like, ah, shit, I think my dexterity's like 14. I don't have my page right here in front of me. It's like yeah, it's +2. I'm like, okay, roll high, roll high, roll high. Natural 20. Ah. So, yeet. And then he's like, alright, now roll a strength check, which I think for something like that it would actually be like athletics, like a grapple or whatever, but whatever, he's the DM, so I'm like, okay, well, I get a +6 because my strength is 23 for reasons. And so I'm like, okay, roll high, roll high, roll high. Natural 20. 2 natural 20s in a row. It was amazing. I was so excited. But, so, for those of you who will watch later, because I'm probably going to rerun this as well, if you've ever seen Full Metal Alchemist, I think either of them, I don't know, I've only seen the one. There's a scene where Armstrong, big guy, there's like I can't remember the exact circumstances, but somebody had like alchemied a giant stone fist and it was coming at him, and he punched it with his stone fist, and there was that explosion of like the sonic boom, and his shirt like just evaporated. Well, minus the shirt evaporation, but that's pretty much what happened with Arrakis and this boulder. And also Aaron was there. Because Aaron was like, I'm just going to turn around and try and catch it with her. So my natural 20, boom! And it just stops. And then Aaron's like there, bracing it with me. And so Bartholomew is behind us. And he's like, and Tyler's like, all right, what are the rest of you doing? Oh, hello, person. Welcome to the story. It's D&D. My character has just caught a 12-ton ball of death. With her bare hands. Her strength is 23 for reasons, natural 20. Okay, so, you're caught up. So, the Dungeon Master asks the rest of us what they're doing. Demiurge at the top of the stairs, who, reminder, is cursed with greed and possessed by a god who is an absolute piece of compost, is just like, well, I'm just gonna use Mage Hand to help. Mage Hand can hold 10 pounds, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Also, you can only put it within... I believe you have to be able to see where you put it, which means he can only put it on the side that's not facing, so he's pushing the boulder at us with, so dick. Anyway, and then, Bartholomew, our Dragonborn stoner wizard, or stoner, paladin, is like, I'm flexing at the boulder from behind Arrakis and Aaron, and Tyler's like, aren't you still holding Artis? And he's like, I start bench pressing Artis. And Artis is just like, this is happening. So that was funny. And, so we decide we're gonna ease it down the stairs rather than try to push it up the stairs. And so he has us make continuing strength checks, and the thing is that I'm rolling less and less every strength check that I make, and Bartholomew is just like, okay, so I'm gonna move out of the way. I'm gonna move into the room, which triggers another trap. There's like a pit of acid. So now he and Artis both have to make dexterity checks. They make their dexterity checks, and they're gripping onto the side of the pit. But now Bartholomew can no longer flex at the boulder, And the next time that I rolled under a 10. And Aaron rolled a natural 1. So the boulder, our arms both basically gave out at the time that Bartholomew was no longer able to flex at the boulder. So now the canonical reason that that Arrakis caught the boulder and was able to ease it down as far as she did was basically Mama Bear strength in conjunction with flexomancy. And the moment that he was no longer able to use flexomancy at the boulder, that was the moment that Arrakis and Aaron's arms gave out and the boulder rolled right over them. We took 18 damage. It rolled. They both shimmied out of the way of the boulder, which fell into the pit, which was apparently full of acid, which splashed them both for like, I think, 68 damage or whatever. But they didn't die. They didn't die. They were able to get out of the pit. It was all to the good. And then Demiurge was just like, why don't you flex at it? Like, oh man. Poor Demiurge. Demiurge just like got fucked. Got fucked by the tomb. Which is the tomb's purpose, I guess. Hello, person, by the way. Hello. Now that there's a break in the story, I can greet you properly. Welcome. Welcome to story time. I'm catching people up on my happenings in D&D, the D&D Tomb of Annihilation that I am a part of on Saturdays, and then later will be part 2 of a recording, an edited annotated recording of a playthrough of Dragon Age Inquisition, and then later after that will be some reruns. If you want to catch it later, you can. It's cool. So anyway, we deal with that. Everybody gets across the pit of acid. Bartholomew had climbed up on the side where the boulder came from, so then he was like, oh, I guess I have to jump across the pit, and he almost died because he rolled very poorly, and I was like, can I catch him? Because I'm standing right there. I'm standing on the edge of the thing waiting for people to get across. Can I just, like, reach out and grab him to make sure he doesn't fall into a pit of acid? Because that will be the second time that a character of hers has died in a pit of acid. And so Tyler allowed it, so I was able to grab the front of Bartholomew's armor and pull him to the other side. And then Demiurge was just basically tied a rope around himself, threw the rope across. I caught it. I yanked him across like a cartoon. I yanked. He was like, what? And then I caught him, and then I set him down, and everybody was across. So then we're in this large room. It's significant. And then on the wall across from there, there's like a labyrinth or like a maze puzzle, you know. And Arrakis also is possessed by a god for reasons. And the god in her head was like, well, that's cool. You should touch it. And Arrakis, whose intelligence is 8, whose wisdom is 9, was like, sure, that makes sense, and touched it. And was instantly transported into the labyrinth. At the same time, a bunch of skeletal minotaurs were revealed, and battle ensued, and Demiurge, who was right by the labyrinth, was like, that's nice, and touched the labyrinth so that he would not be in combat, which was amazing, and also dickish. So we dealt with that, or, well, they dealt with that. Stuff happened. And we didn't sleep in that room, actually, but we did, I think we short rest? No, we took some, oh, I almost missed the most important part, again. So, before we noticed the labyrinth, we also noticed that there was this upright crate. And there were words on the crate, which somebody else had to read to Arrakis, because Arrakis is illiterate. And the crate says, do not open. And so that's revealed, and that's like, and everyone's like, well, that's kind of weird. And it's like, literally, it's an upright crate, like the kind that you would see in a museum. The words are stamped on like they would be if it were like a 1950s museum. And there is a dolly, like, to move it, you know? So first we move it to see if moving it will trigger a trap, because, why wouldn't you? And then we're like, well, do not open. maybe it's important to a Sararak, and so we should definitely open it, and if it's a weapon, we should break it. Or something. Or use it against him, if we can use it against him. So we open it, and it is a life-size statue of a Dragonborn holding a bong. And Bartholomew is like, bro! And immediately flexes at the statue. And Arrakis is like, okay. Because she is unaware that Bartholomew's flexomancy enabled her to not only catch the boulder, but also ease it down as far as she did. So she's like, this is okay. This is kind of sad. But then, the stone on the Dragonborn starts to crack. And Arrakis goes, what? And starts to question everything about her life that she thought she knew. Because Arrakis is swole. Like, Arrakis, if you've ever watched a strongman competition, Arrakis is that swole. She doesn't have an 8-pack, but she's definitely got some muscle, yo. And so she's like, have I been wasting my assets this entire time? I could have been flexing at everything. But anyway, so yeah, the stone cracks and chips away and falls away to reveal another golden dragonborn who is holding a bong. And he just like, he looks up around at everything, breathes out a cloud of smoke, and is like, whoa. And that's how we met Brothazar, Bartholomew's brother and frat brother. And they are just the most delightful. And it's funny because he refers to himself as as a doctor. You know, and like whenever he asks if somebody needs healing, he doesn't, he's not like, he's basically on a scale of 1 to 4, because he only has access to 4th level spells. On a scale of 1 to 4, how bad is the pain? Please state the nature of the medical emergency, and he's just delightful. I love him so much. But it's funny because, like, he asks Arrakis that, and Arrakis, listen, Arrakis can read the sea, the sky, the clouds, but she can't read words. And she doesn't do numbers very well either. So he's like, on a scale of 1 to 4, how bad is the pain? And she's just like, Poor Arrakis. So, yeah, that happened. And then, let's see what happened after that. And then there was like a 3-week break because our dungeon master had things to do, including PAX. He went to PAX, and yeah, I'm a little jealous because like I've been curious about PAX, but I never have money or time to go to PAX, and also I'm under the impression that the tickets sell out rather rapidly. I'm wondering if my chat is broken. Let me type something right here. Just a second. Oh, no, mine works. Okay, so, anyway. We deal with the room. And then I think we were trying to determine where we were going to go next, and really there's only one way to go, and it's like off the beaten path a little bit, but we end up in this long hallway, and there's a door, and we go through the door, and there's like, for reasons, a lake. Like you do. So we're fucking around with this lake trying to figure out what the purpose of it is, and there's these giant cogs and shit everywhere, and we're like, I don't like it. And there's boats, and we fuck around with the boats for a little bit. And so notices that Bartholomew, Catherine's character, notices that there are phosphorescent crabs at the bottom of the lake. And he decides that he wants one. So he takes off his armor and things, and he dives down, and he grabs a crab, and he comes up, and he's got a crab. Yeah, there's like a visual delay between action and video. Anyway, so phosphorescent crab, he has one, and he's like, yeah. And then he decides that he's trying to figure out how it is getting phosphorescent and everything, and he decides that maybe it's the water. And Aaron is just like, well, maybe you only become phosphorescent if you drink the water. And so Bartholomew drinks the water, which is like a slimy, murky, algae-filled kind of. It's a lake. It's a lake, and it's nasty, right? But he drinks it and is immediately poisoned. And he throws up on the crab. And the crab's like, really? Which was funny, because, like, Tyler gave this crab a personality, and I was immediately like, there's just a sentient village at the bottom of the lake of, like, phosphorescent crabs, and we just abducted their mayor. um, anyway, so then, we noticed that there were a bunch of undead dwarves working above us, like hanging from rigging and working on some things that were in the room and everything. And we're like, well, they're undead, so obviously they have to die. Well, I mean, I didn't say that, but everybody was just like, well, they're undead, so obviously they have to die. And I'm like, all right, well, and Aaron goes, how do we get them down here? And I'm looking around, and then I look at the water, and there's all those phosphorescent crabs. And I look at Bartholomew, and I'm like, I'm gonna need some more crabs. And Bartholomew's like, I'm on it. And dives back into the water, goes down to the bottom of the lake, uses a robe that he recently acquired as like a makeshift sack, and just scoops an armful of crabs into the robe, and then swims back up to the surface. Crabs. And so I take one, and I was like, I want to chuck this crab at one of the undead dwarves. And Tyler's like, why do you... Okay, roll a dexterity check. Natural 20. And it's like 60 feet up, but this crab... Yes, crab battle. Indeed. This crab beans an undead dwarf in the head, and the dwarf goes, ah! And falls off his rigging, hits a couple things on the way down, and then just splats into the water. And I'm like, yes! Give me another crab. And so, like, he's handing me another crab, and we're watching this dwarf, like, sploosh around in the water, and all of a sudden it goes, Wah! And it gets sucked under the water, and we all kind of pause, and we're like, oh. Because there's something in the water, and I kind of look at Bartholomew, because he's been in the water twice now. And I'm like, you're a lucky shit. And then I just chuck another crab at one of the other dwarves. I didn't roll as well. I rolled a 16. But it still hit the guy, but it didn't do anything to him. It hit him in the leg, because he was already looking at the guy who fell off his rigging, and so it hit him, and he's like, hey. And then he pulls up his crossbow, and he's like, you want to go? Is this what you want? Is this what we're doing now? and I'm like, alright, they've got crossbows, guys. We can't fight them from here. So, we did not end up fighting a cadre of undead dwarves that were suspended from rigging. We ended up leaving the room, and we went down this hallway into a slightly slanted area. Oh, but first we encountered a grandfather clock. Yeah. So we found this room, and there was a clock in it, and we were inspecting the clock, and I was looking for a trap, and I didn't see a trap, but, like, everything in this dungeon has been designed to fuck us, right? So I'm like, the fact that there's no visible trap, and I can't, like, sense any kind of magical trap or anything, the fact that I can't sense anything coming from this otherwise perfectly normal clock is bugging the fuck out of me, so I just knocked it over. Because Arrakis believes in handling problems head on. Applied directly to the forehead. So she's just like, I'm gonna push it over. And Tyler's just like, can you? And he reads the entire description and it says nothing about it. So Arrakis pushes it over, and it hits the ground, and a bunch of chimes go off, and he's just like, okay, go ahead and roll a d6, and I rolled a d6, and I rolled a 4, and he's like, okay, I need everybody to make 4 Constitution saves. Four Constitution saves. Now, luckily, we all get +4 because Catherine's playing a paladin. So we all get +4, and my con is it's not awful, and I'm proficient in it, so that's nice. But I still failed one of them, and Artis failed 2 of them, and I think the only person who came out normal, who wasn't who succeeded in every single check was Bartholomew, which was interesting because both him and Demiurge were like entranced by the clock, which has some implications now that I know things about it. Anyway, so we all basically experience a moment of like pain, and our chest gets tight, and like our vision gets blurry for a second, and we're all aware that we went through something, but we're not really sure entirely what. And then Aaron notices with a a really high perception check that Artis looks a lot older than he used to, and so does Brothazar. And basically, when you fail your Constitution, yeah, it's a clock of doom. When you fail your Constitution check, you age 10 years. Artis failed twice. He's like 55 now. Yeah, Arrakis feels really bad about it. Arrakis is 31 now. And yeah, so that's a thing. But yeah. Whoo boy, that was a thing. So anyway, and like Tyler immediately started making like old man jokes, and Artis is nearsighted now, so he's a less effective. He's got the silver fox, band o silver at his temples. It's nice. But Tyler immediately started making old man jokes, and he's nearsighted now, and he needs to pee a lot more, and he needs to take his back hurts just perpetually. But he's got that old man strength because he's a ranger. He's been living in the forest his entire goddamn life, and it was like I was like trying so hard not to immediately make Arrakis like the young nurse to his old man, but it just happened anyway. So we after the clock we ended up in this hallway, and it was slanted. It was higher at one end than the other, and then there was like a bunch of art on the walls depicting some stuff, and then at the bottom of the hall there was a gargoyle, or well, there was a curtain, and so Bartholomew was just like, well, all right, I go open the curtain, and I'm like, and I usher Artis out of the room, because the last time we pulled back a curtain, we all had to make like charisma saves and shit, and it didn't go well. So, yeah, so he pulls back the curtain, but it's just a gargoyle that's got one hand broken off and 3 open hands, and there's a riddle on the ceiling. And so he comes and reports that back, and so we all go over there. And it's funny because like Bartholomew is trying to relay what he saw to us, but his intelligence is 8, so it's not really going that well. And Artis is just like, well, I guess we better go look at it ourselves. And Arrakis is there like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do that. Words are my specialty. like, and so they both go and they're looking up at the ceiling, and Arrakis is like, yes, words. And Artis is just like, and he reads it to her, and she's just like, trying to be subtle about the fact that she has to lean down 3 feet just to hear him talk. And so she's just like, okay, well, 3 is like, seems to be the number of the day, because it's a riddle involving threes. And so she's just like, and I was like, would it be a stretch for Arrakis to infer that because the number 3 shows up so many times in the riddle that the gargoyle only has 3 hands. And Tyler's like, no, you can infer that. And I'm like, okay, she immediately does this with her fingers. Just 3. Just 1, 2, 3. All right, 3. Cool. All right. And so she's just holding that 3 because numbers are not her. Numbers are not her thing. So, and she's like, all right, she's going to inspect the walls to find 3s of something. Oh, that's because I have the chat on top of everything. Let's move that up above the camera. Move. Move. Move it. Move. There we go. There we go. Anyway, so this is the for talking setup that I had. So in her perusal of the walls, she finds something that looks like a chest, like, you know, like it's like a carving of a chest. But as she is inspecting it, she finds that the keyhole in the carving of the chest is an actual keyhole. And she's like, and I'm like, oh well, I have a key. And he's like, you do? And I was like, yeah, I have that jade crocodile key. Does it match? And he's like, it does. And I'm like, cool. Wait a minute. Because the last time I made an arbitrary decision, Artis, you know, got fucked. So I'm like, hey, Artis, come here. And I explain the situation. He's like, well, we should open it. So we open it, and it leads to a tunnel. And I'm like, okay, well, let's not split the party. So we tell everybody what's going on. Bartholomew decides that he's the paladin. He's going to go in first. So he goes in first, and he's looking around, and he sees this big-ass thing that, you know, I don't want to spoil it, but he also finds, like, a really nice, expensive thing. And so we all eventually go in and we find the room, and you know, so we're all like, oh, nice shiny rock. Yeah. And Aaron, who rolled a natural 20 to appraise it, or it was a history check. He rolled a natural 20 on his history check. It's just like, oh well, this is what it is, and it's actually worth quite a bit of money. And and we're like, oh yeah, how much is it worth? Well, not Arrakis, but he's just like, factoring in exchange rates and the state of the economy at this current moment, it's worth about, if you take it to a proper auction house and get it, you know, the provenance and everything like that, 25,000 gold pieces. And everybody goes, damn! Except Arrakis. Arrakis leans down to Artis and goes, is that a lot? How much is that in boats? Is what Arrakis says. Because Arrakis understands, you know, boats. And Artis is like, in boats? That's a man of war. And Arrakis goes, damn! I could be a captain. So, Bartholomew is just like, well, I don't want to keep this on my person because I'm in the fray, like, a lot. And I can't give it to Brothazar because he's in the fray a lot. And you're in the fray, and you're in the fray. Artis, you're pretty trustworthy. You mind holding on to this giant rock for me? And Artis is like, sure. Just for the sake of clarifications, what happens to the rock if you should, God forbid, or Bahamut forbid, bite it? You know, and Bartholomew's like, huh, that's a good question. Well, if I die, then it goes to Brothazar, and if Brothazar dies, then it goes to the Angel of Strength, and I'm like, I could be a captain. No. She's nefariously rubbing her hands together and plotting the demise of the two people in the way of her becoming captain. No. No. Bro, yes, that's what he calls Bahamut. And Brothazar is like, it's Bahamut, bro. And and Bartholomew is just like, that's what I said, Bahamut. and Brothazar's like, that's no, yeah, okay. Anyway, so now we have a shiny rock, And I went back and I tried to solve the riddle, but nothing happened. So we moved on to these, you know, we ended up in this room with a puzzle that is by far the most complex that we've come across to date in the tomb, and that's where we stopped it. And I was like, man, this sucks. Cause like Cassandra, really want to solve this puzzle, and Catherine really wants to solve this puzzle. We both want to put our heads together and be like, if we do this and this and this, something magical will happen. However, Arrakis' intelligence is 8, and thus far, because 8 is the lowest you can make your intelligence using the point buy system, I have been playing her much less intelligent. I believe with 8 intelligence you could probably still read, just not very well. But I've been playing her straight illiterate. Um, and Brotholomew, also an intelligence of 8. And Demiurge, I believe, also has an intelligence of 8. Aaron's intelligence is 10. Brothazar's intelligence is 10. 10 is the highest that we can do. Because Artis is not weighing in, because he's an NPC. I really want to solve this puzzle. Arrakis is gonna give it her best goddamn shot. It's not gonna go very well. I have some theories that would not, you know. It was funny because, like, when we found the rock, I was like, man, there's a question I want to ask, but it just would not occur to her to ask. And the question was, how much is this worth? Yeah. Anyway, so that was story time. And so it's 2:42 right now. I have my second video scheduled to premiere at 3 o'clock. So I'm going to cut this here. And then I'm going to schedule some reruns for later so that I will technically be streaming all day, but I won't be present. Which is not because it's not because I'm disinterested in streaming. It's just that I spent all day yesterday trying to stream, and it just was not working out for me. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play more Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm gonna edit those together over the week, and then I'm going to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, my internet. I don't. Were you there yesterday? Heartless One, did you watch at all? It was super fucking glitchy. And it was so annoying. So annoying. Like, and I tried to do Dragon Age Inquisition, or not Dragon Age Inquisition, tried to do Dragon Age Origins, which is on my computer, and did not give me any problems last time. But every time I went into combat, it slowed down, and it was twitchy as fuck. And then anytime I walked up to a person that would initiate a cutscene, the loading time for the cutscene took forever. In one instance, the dialogue was heard before I even got to the visual portion of the cut screen, which was basically just a screenshot, and then it went back to my play, and it was stupid. So I switched to Project N64, and like the same frickin' thing was happening. So I it looks like I'm not going to be able to stream live for a while until I get the sound card and the hard drives for my monster, my beast, my boyfriend, and then I can start streaming live. Until then, I will record sessions of Dragon Age Inquisition, edit, annotate, and or excuse me, record my sessions of Dragon Age with OBS, convert the files to MP4 with all file converter, edit, annotate with Movie Studio, and then put those on the internet. And I will try to release them regularly, but I can only really play Dragon Age like during the weekends or in the morning. I really don't want to spend my entire. I only have like 3.5 hours bookending, one and a half. I only have like 3 hours bookending conscious time before and after work. So yeah, so I will record new house with better internet and boyfriend. Yeah. Yeah, word. And right. So, yes, so for today, part 2, and then I will probably do a rerun of this first, and then part 1 and then part 2 together immediately after. So that's how it'll be. And then we'll see how it goes. All right. So anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening. And I will see you the next time that I see you, whenever that is. So bye. Bye.